Start to see that flag inching out of that lead car, so we must be getting close to starting.
And they go across the bridge, Macca, veer to the left, and then it starts to claw its way skyward.
It does. You can see the road there heading upwards. I wonder if they head up towards that village perched up on the hill there. So this is going to be an interesting start, and this is exactly what the opportunists want. Something like this to kickstart them.
It is a long stage, 207 kilometres.
On the other hand, you've got the sprinters just dreading a start like this. They would have loved to have got that 4 extra kilometres in before the climb, just to warm up. And there's always a chance you can just encourage a couple of riders to jump away before the climb. So it's the worst nightmare, dropping the flag right in the bottom of the climb.
Yeah, hitting the base of the climb with no momentum is far worse for the sprinters.
Yeah, and they're going to wait now, obviously, to get across the bridge, pick a safe spot. And I imagine that will be right about now.
The flag drops, and finally we are officially underway on stage 11 of the Giro d'Italia. A calm start, lots of sprinters teams at the front. Look at them. Lead out trek for Jonathan Milan. Visma Lisa Bike, Uta Brooks, a non-starter today.
Well, it is sweeping through the peloton, not only Visma Lisa Bike, with a few different riders falling by the wayside, as you mentioned, but definitely not 2 teammates from Tratnik. We may have seen Uta Brooks go home, but with 2 teammates up the road, that's pretty much half the team. So they've spread the team out evenly throughout the race, but good to see Visma Lisa Bike still having the momentum and the morale to jump in the break.
It is outstanding. You mentioned it earlier on, the culture of the team really coming to the fore. Other non-starters today, Louis Barret from Arkea B&B Hotels. No surprises given the big crash that we saw from him. Most of the peloton went to the left side of a roundabout. He went to the right. The exit was tighter. He had too much speed. He went down. It was actually astonishing to see that he finished the stage yesterday. Third non-starter is Stefano Oldani from the Cofidis squad, who was a stage winner last year when he was part of the Alpecin de Koenig squad. So Visma Lisa Bike, just back to them briefly, to lose the most experienced member of the squad, Robert Hessing, to lose Christophe Laporte, the European champion, one of the stars of that squad for the last 2 years, then Olav Koy, the stage winner, the young sprinter, then Uta Brooks, best placed overall in 5th position. To lose those 4 riders, and yesterday see Tratnik in the break finishing 3rd, and now have Affini and Van Dijk in the break today. This team is made of some stern stuff.
Yeah, you can argue thus far to this point, most combative. I mean, it is pretty amazing. And if they do nothing else, they're going home with a stage win at the very least, you know, and they've been decimated. So, no, you have to give credit where credit's due. And I think you hit it on the head, Mark. It's what it does say is about the culture within the team and the morale. You know, you're losing, you know, 3 or 4 of your sort of best riders in terms of experience and form, and you still step up the next day. And as you say, you see it as an opportunity. These guys, very rarely do they get this opportunity now to go for it.
No, exactly. They don't get the opportunity to go in breakaways. Normally they're chasing breakaways because they have a leader, and normally it's a big leader like Vingegaard, like Roglic in the past. So they're always on the front of the peloton, just smashing out kilometre after kilometre trying to catch the breakaway. So I'm really interested to see how far they can go today. It is one of the longest stages in the race, a bit over 208 kilometres, so it's definitely going to be a long old day for them. And as we see here, back in the peloton, the Lidl Trek, they've pretty much taken complete control of this chase for the breakaway. Jonathan Milan there sitting in 7th or 8th position, so they're going to buckle up for a long day on the front as well.
It's Capodazabia who sits at the front, followed then by Lopez. Next in line is Dan Hull. And it is not Alpecin de Koenig at the front this time. So Caden Groves and his team, they're taking a slight back seat, which is a good thing for the prospects of Caden Groves to have team support around in the crucial final few Ks.
Yeah, I'm very happy with this, Mark. And, you know, we didn't have you in that first week when we saw, but I'm sure you would have seen Alpecin de Koenig. They were doing more work than anyone, and you know, they tried a couple of different tactics, which I liked. Didn't work, but at least they tried something. But I'm so happy they haven't gone to the front here. Caden hasn't won a stage. Of course, that means that you don't throw the towel in, but don't throw your team on the front at the start.
Well, what I can guarantee you is that very soon there will be a rider from Alpes de Koenig move up. They'll start to work with Lidl Trek. Also look to some of the other teams, Jayco Alula, they may move up. But it's probably going to be the Quick Step.
Sudal Quick Step as well.
Quick Step. They'll also commit, because if we look at the top 3 sprinters from this team, from this race, De Koenig, Sudal Quick Step, and along with Caden Grove's team, they're all going to commit one rider. It ends up being 3 versus 3, and then you'll see Lidl Trek, they'll start to commit more and more towards the end of the stage. So I think Lidl Trek, they'll be happy to get it started, keep it rolling, just get the momentum going here in the peloton. But soon enough, that Director Sportifs car behind this race, they're going to drop back and they're going to go see the other directors, and I think it's David Bramati for Sudal Quick Step. They'll go and see Brahma. Okay, now's the time. Have you got one person for us? So they'll rustle up a few other riders to help.
So I guess they're anticipating that they won't let this break get out of hand and go to 4 or 5 minutes.
Well, it's what we've seen, especially this year and the last couple of years, is that we just can't give a lot of time to these breakaways, where we used to see them give 8 or 9 minutes, say, on a stage of this length. Now, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they only give them 3 or 4 minutes for a 200-kilometre stage. And, you know, the riders that we spoke about from Visma Lease like out in front, they're quality bike riders.
Well, you can see the 9th Maria Rosa for Tadej Pogačar. One of the notable names on there, Nairo Quintana is still in the race, but Andy Hampsten, we're talking about the Stelvio on that stage being cancelled. Andy Hampsten, the winner of the Giro d'Italia in 1988, riding for the American 7-Eleven team. It is one of the most iconic editions of the Giro d'Italia because of the snow and the images that came out of that race, with Hampsten in pink battling the great Dutchman Eric Breuking.
Yeah, he battled a few, didn't he? You're right, it's all these days, as you know too well, Matty, it takes us both back to our teenage years, and you know that's what inspired us to fall in love with the sport of cycling. And Hampsten on that occasion, riding for the famous 7-Eleven squad, you know, they raced over the snow with no gloves on, and you know, no long gloves, I should say, and their rain jackets weren't much better either back then. But wow, yeah, iconic images. And you know, I'd love to see them safe enough to ride through the snow, as in the walls of the snow. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Have you read Paul Kimmage's book, A Rough Ride, The Irish Cyclist?
I have read it many, many years ago, yes. Yeah.
I read it in around about 93 or 94 when it was initially published. And the story of that snow-capped stage in the Giro d'Italia is the one that still sticks with me today, because he tells the story of going down the descent, stopping by the side of the road, and urinating on his hands to get some sense of feeling back.
That's one way to do it.
Martin Macaluzzi from the Bardiani squad. He's been in the wars. He's also been in lots of breakaways. He has been one of the most active riders in this year's Giro.
When you talk about names we've mentioned, if you put a ticker, a counter on the names we've mentioned, he would be up there in the top 5, top 10. Probably.
And it's been riders like him who have made this year's Giro d'Italia, in my opinion at least, one of the most entertaining that we've seen in recent history. So we're keen on your opinion, Couch Peloton. Join the X poll. It's at SBS Sport AU. Is this the best start to a Giro d'Italia we've ever seen? Yes or no? I can think of others. And Rowan has written, yes, because it's the first I've watched. Welcome to the Couch Peloton, Rowan. I'm glad you're enjoying the coverage. The Weller man comes. He says it's already over. And many do believe it's already over. Many believed it was over before it started with Tadej Pogačar. Others are saying, yep, entertaining, plus. Rick has said that he's been instructed to say yes because his wife agrees with everything that Tadej Pogačar does. And there's some in the peloton that don't necessarily agree with Tadej. So keep the votes coming, keep your comments coming. And Rick also really enjoyed the stage victory yesterday by Valentin Paripan. It's certainly been the most entertaining first half of the Giro d'Italia that I've been lucky enough to commentate on. Even though that comment, it's already over, It feels like it kind of is in the race for the pink jersey, but you never count your chickens before they hatch. And seeing the illness that is going through the peloton shows that you're not in Rome with the pink jersey until you're in Rome with the pink jersey.
No, that's spot on. It's too unpredictable cycling, and there's too many elements that go into this. It's not just riding from A to B. It's those thousands of kilometres and potholes and wet roads and illness and the transfers and all the things that stack up to make this sport the sport it is, one of the most beautiful sports, and we get to talk about this and watch this. So it's all those things that roll up to make this a difficult sport. So to think that Tadej Pogačar is going to take this home easy is I think that's a big call, because there's a lot that can happen between here and Rome.
I like it that you say that, Mark, because, you know, you're still, well, you're a lot more recently retired than I am. So I feel like sometimes when I say that, I think I've really got to justify to you at home who's listening and watching, thinking, Mackenzie's just trying to keep us hooked in. But it's so true, isn't it? It is so true. And Tadej Pogačar's biggest rival is himself at this stage. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to dodge the potholes. He's got to dodge the dogs. You know,